And joining me now is Republican Congresswoman from New York, Nicole Malliotakis. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us. Look, I'll start off by simply asking, is Trump right that immigrants are poisoning the blood of this country?
Well, I don't think that's what he was saying. When he said they are poisoning, I think he was talking about the Democratic policies. I think he was talking about the open border policy. And if you look at what our mayor here in New York City is saying, that this migrant crisis is destroying New York City, I think it's pretty much the same thing. What we're trying to say here is that we need to have secure borders. You know what's actually poisoning America is the amount of fentanyl that's coming over our open border. And so this is a really serious issue, and I think that that's what he's talking about, that the open borders are unsafe, that it's unsustainable, and it's bankrupting cities like ours, and we need to address it.
Congresswoman, you're saying that's what you think he's saying, but he was pretty clear. He was saying that the immigrants who are coming in, he says they're poisoning the blood of the nation. He says
never said
that
immigrants
they're doing
are poisoning, though.
He's talking about people coming across the border in the quote. We just played it.
Yeah, and he said he didn't say the words the immigrants. I think he was talking about the Democratic policies.
He was talking about people.
Okay, well, look,
not policies. He was talking about people.
Look, I know that some are trying to make it seem like President Trump is anti-immigrant. The reality is he was married to immigrants. He's hired immigrants. I mean, he's not.
He was talking about people coming across the border. He was saying
they're coming over the border.
He was saying that they were bringing crime, they were bringing, violence with them when they came into the country. That is what. So, will you agree that he's talking about immigrants?
Well, no, but the thing is that our open borders is unsafe and unsustainable. We know that the drug cartels are bringing in and setting up operations selling fentanyl and other drugs to the point where over 100,000 Americans have died. We know that there is crime taking place. And that's not to say that all immigrants are bad. My parents are immigrants. I represent a community full of immigrants. But what I will tell you from the immigrants that I know is that they're very upset by the lack of order that we're seeing at the border.
And look, we've talked to you actually about your background, your immigrant history. I have immigrant history too, so we share that. Exactly, we all do. But let's talk for a second here about the fact that Trump continuously, repeatedly uses this rhetoric that now, maybe you could say the first time he didn't know the references, the parallels to authoritarians. He knows now. Why does he keep saying it over and over again?
Well, look, I just think he's trying to bring attention to the issue.
He's using the rhetoric of authoritarians to bring attention to this issue?
I think the important thing is we need to pay attention to this issue. I mean, look, let's admit what's going on here in this country. We have drug cartels that are running our southern border. We have the women and children, by the way, who are coming over the border. How many of them are being raped along the journey? Doctors Without Borders even put out a report saying between Colombia and Panama, there were 400 children and women that they treated who are being raped. Every single person coming over that border is paying the drug cartels thousands of dollars to get here. What are they doing with that money? They are, in turn, selling drugs. The drug cartels, right, are setting up operations here. We know the gangs are here. We know this is all happening. If you talk to the Drug Enforcement Administration, if you talk to law enforcement, it's happening. So, I mean, let's differentiate between legal immigration and illegal immigration and admit that this open border is a major problem for this country, and it's unsustainable. It's costing our taxpayers hundreds of billions of dollars a year. Here in New York City, we're going bankrupt with the city's doing across-the-board cuts.
Look, I don't disagree with what you're saying about the policy, and I think that's actually really...
But that's what we have to focus on. I mean, we make different...
Look, I think it's really important, the policy that you're talking about. I think you would agree that that is probably what lawmakers like you want to focus on. Trump is using the rhetoric of Hitler and Mussolini to make a point about people coming across the border illegally. Don't you think that's a bit of a distraction?
I disagree. I disagree with what you're saying. I just fundamentally disagree. I think what he was saying is that the Democratic policies, the policies of this administration that have allowed millions of people, including... Remember, we caught people on the terror watch list. That should be concerning to us in New York City in a post-9/11 world. I mean, we have to be serious about what's going on. And you have 1.7 million people who are completely unaccountable accounted for. And the policies, by the way, of this president, I would argue, of President Biden, are the ones that are anti-immigrant. Let me explain why. We have people who are waiting years in line. They've come the right way. They did everything right. They applied. They've been waiting for years to get an asylum date or whatever. And they're being cut now by these individuals that have paid the drug cartels to come over the southern border. They're prioritizing this administration. The people who have come over the southern border ahead of the people who have been waiting for years. And I know this because I have casework in my office where I'm dealing with this regularly.
Done a lot of work on that.